Hello and welcome to Vacations by Tiffany. I'm your go-to travel agent, giving you tips, information, and sharing all of the gluten-free food on my cruises, Disney trips, and much more. In this episode, I'm giving you my top 25 tips for your first Disney cruise. Let's jump right in with number 1, which is to download the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. It's available for most smartphones, and it's free. I suggest you download it as soon as you book your cruise, or maybe even before that. You'll create a username and login, or if you've already visited the Disney parks, you may already have a username and login that you'll use again on your cruise. On the app, you'll be able to do so much. You can check in for your cruise, put in flight information, put in any dietary preferences and allergies. You can purchase extras for your cabin, like birthday or anniversary decorations. You can reserve adult dining or mixology classes, but more on that one later in this episode. There's also one of my favorite features, a countdown. It's fun to watch the seconds go by with Disney character emojis, knowing that you're just that much closer to your Disney cruise. Also, on the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app, closer to your cruise date, you'll check in with all of your information, passport numbers, etc. Then you'll also get a port arrival time, and more on that in a tip coming up later. The Disney Cruise Navigator app isn't just for before your cruise. In fact, it's more important to have it on your phone once you step on board. You can use it for things like messaging other members of your group, and you won't need to purchase Wi-Fi to use the app. You can also see show times and movie times. There's also events like the Sail Away deck party, character meet and greets, trivia, and adults-only events. There is also a heart icon so that you can highlight what you want to see, and that will save the events in your favorites. Time for tip number 2, Pirate Night. Just about every cruise sailing in the Caribbean has a pirate-themed night. This is a fun time where the whole ship transforms. There's pirate music, characters, and cast members in pirate outfits, and you might even get a pirate-themed menu at dinner. There's a Mickey Mouse and Friends deck party, and then later in the evening is my favorite part of every Disney cruise, is the fireworks. Be sure to pack a pirate outfit or t-shirts for your family. This is the opportunity to dress up too, not just the kids, so feel free to get out your best Jack Sparrow or pirate Halloween costumes and have fun with makeup and go all out. Trust me, you won't be the only adult dressed up. But just a reminder, this is only in certain Caribbean itineraries. Tip number 3, there are no drink packages on Disney Cruise Line. What Disney does have is a discounted price drink cocktail of the day. You'll find this info in the Navigator app, as well as on signs and menus at each bar on the ship. There's both an alcoholic or a non-alcoholic option. If you want, you can bring your own wine and beer on board, but double check online how much you can bring per person. It's also for each cabin, for each person that's over 21. You can purchase more beer and wine also at each of the ports that you visit. Another fun feature Disney offers is the beer mug card. We've gotten these on previous cruises. First up, you'll buy the mug, which allows you to get the 20-ounce beer for the price of the 16-ounce for the entirety of your cruise. And when you have a dirty mug, you can exchange it for a card, which you could easily slide into your lanyard until you're ready for the next beer. There's also a Coffee Fanatic card where you buy 5 specialty coffees and you get one free. And there is a wine package where you can get a bottle of wine for each night of your cruise. Again, they don't have a drink package, but sodas are included in the price of your cruise. They're open 24 hours up by the pool deck. You can also get sodas at the buffet and at dinner in the main dining room. Tip number 4. Disney Cruise Line does not have a casino on board any of their ships, but they do have bingo. This is one of the adults-only 18 and up events. On one of our cruises, a dinner table mate of ours actually won a decent amount of money going to bingo. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely plan to attend that event during your cruise. Tip number 5. Check your kids into the Oceaneer Kids Club as soon as you get on board. Disney already knows that you're coming because you've entered your kids' birthdays when you book your cruise, but you still have to go in person to answer some security questions. And it's also a good idea to walk around the kids' club with them and show them all of the cool stuff that they can do and play with while they're here. That gives you, the adults, the chance to have a nice massage at the spa or maybe enjoy some drinks at the lounge while they play in the supervised exclusive kids area. That brings me to tip number 6. If you have kids, try cruising with some friends or family members for your first Disney cruise so the kids will already be familiar with other kids, giving them a little more independence in the youth clubs. Tip number 7, the entertainment. I touched on this briefly in tip number 1 about the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. There's tons of entertainment all around the ship, from the moment you step on board to the finale night on the last night of your cruise. There's also the really great pirate deck party I mentioned on Caribbean itineraries. If you happen to be sailing in Alaska, you'll have the Frozen-themed deck party. There's Broadway-style productions just about each night of your cruise in the Walt Disney Theater. There's shows like Beauty and the Beast and original Disney cruise shows like the Golden Mickeys. You can also catch first-run movies and 3D movies in the designated movie cinema on board. There's also movies playing during the day and night on the pool deck on the giant screen called Funnel Vision. There's so much entertainment that you'll never be bored for sure. And best of all, it's all included in the price of your cruise. Time for tip number 8, another one of my favorites, Castaway Cay. This is Disney's private island in the Bahamas. If you've ever been to a beach on vacation, you might dread having to carry all of the chairs and towels and umbrellas and coolers all the way down to the beach and through the sand to set everything up for the day. Well, good news about Castaway Cay is that you don't have to bring any of the chairs or umbrellas or coolers and food. It's all there for you. You just grab a towel and don't forget your sunscreen. All of the chairs and umbrellas are set up and there's a delicious barbecue lunch prepared for you and your family. And just like the food on the ship, it's all included in the price of your cruise. There's no extra $5 or $10 fee for a chair or an umbrella. There's also tons to do on the island and lifeguards on duty. You can swim, there's Pelican Plunge, the kids' playground. You could rent a float or a tube or snorkel gear. You can also feed the stingrays for an extra charge. Or you can even rent a bike and go for a bike ride around the island. I've done this on a previous cruise and it's tons of fun. There's a tram that takes you from the ship all over the island. And now for my personal favorite, Serenity Bay, the adults-only 18 and up beach located completely on the other side of the island, filled with shaded lounge chairs and lots of peace and quiet. And for the kids and teens, there's a supervised kids club just like on the ship. So you adults can get a massage or enjoy some adult time at the bar, knowing that your kids are in good hands right there on the island. Coming in summer of 2024 is Disney's second private island destination in the Bahamas, Lighthouse Point. I can't wait to visit this location, so be sure to subscribe here to find out more about it. Tip number 9 has you covered with dinner with what they call rotational dining. You'll eat dinner in each of the 3 main dining rooms on the ship. When you book your cruise, you'll pick one of the 2 dining times. There's an earlier main seating time around 5:45 or maybe 6:15, and the second seating is around 8 o'clock. You'll experience different menus, theme and styles, and maybe even different dinner shows. And something that is a huge benefit that you don't really even think about is that your servers and your waitstaff rotate with you. So they get to know you during your cruise and what you like to drink or your food preferences. And if you have allergies or special dietary needs like me, you'll be well taken care of. Which brings me to tip number 10. Allergies and special dietary needs, as well as accessible cabins or anything you might need. When you first book your cruise, you'll have to make a note of that on your account, and then perhaps again when you check in closer to your cruise, just to confirm. If you travel with medical devices, also check with your housekeeping staff for extension cords or distilled water. You can also request a sharps container from your housekeeping staff to keep in your room during your cruise to ensure that everyone stays safe during your vacation. Tip number 11 is all about boarding day and the process of getting on the ship. First off, I highly suggest that you and your family all have valid passports for the duration of your cruise. It's always a good idea, just in case anything happens while you're outside of the US. Download the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app because you'll do all of your checking in and getting your boarding passes through that app. You also do not need to print anything. Honestly, I don't even have a printer anymore because everything can be done digitally. And if you have an iPhone, you can save the boarding pass to your Apple Wallet. Here's another good tip. When you arrive at the port, it's a good idea for one person in your party to have all of the passports open and stacked up in their hands. And have the app with the boarding passes on your phone so going through security can be as quick and seamless as possible. I have an entire video episode about this with more details on the Disney Cruise Line playlist if you want to check it out after this. Tip number 12, and I actually also will have a separate podcast about this coming soon with more details, all about the adults only topic. There's tons to do for just adults. There's adults only dining, there's an entire pool deck with hot tubs, a coffee shop, there's bars and lounges, there's trivia for adults only also, there's cocktail and mixology classes, wine tastings, adult restaurants, and brunch, one of my favorite things. And finally, for a good laugh, there's the adults only newlywed style game show. I highly recommend it, called Match Your Mate. Subscribe here to my channel to catch my full podcast with more on this topic later. Tip number 13, bring lanyards with you for your first cruise. Because on your second cruise, you'll get a lanyard as a gift for being in the Disney Cruise Line Loyalty Club, which brings me to the next tip, tip number 14, the Castaway Club. This is Disney Cruise Line's Loyalty Club. After you complete your first sailing on Disney Cruise, you'll be automatically enrolled, kids and adults too. There are currently, in 2023, 4 levels to the Castaway Club. There's Silver, which begins after you complete your first cruise, Gold, which begins after you complete your 5th cruise, Platinum, which is after you complete your 10th cruise, and the newest level, just introduced this year, Pearl level, which you'll reach after you complete your 25th cruise. There are all sorts of perks and gifts and free dinners and goodies that you can get delivered to your cabin with each level that you reach. Tip number 15. If you're having such a good time on your first Disney cruise, go ahead and book another one or a placeholder for your next cruise while you're on board. You'll get a discounted deposit amount, and you get a discount on that future sailing. Disney does not offer many discounts for their cruises, so this is a huge deal, and one I'm always sure to take advantage of. It might be as easy as booking it through the app, or perhaps at the front desk, but be sure to get there to the front desk before you step off on debarkation day. And also keep in mind that there are blockout dates for certain holidays and other voyages. Tip number 16, shopping exclusive merchandise that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Whether it's Alaska, the Mediterranean, or Castaway Key, the shopping opportunities on Disney Cruise Line are one of a kind. There's also jewelry and collectible items on the ship. So if you're a shopper, be sure to leave extra space in your suitcase. Tip number 17 is about picking an appropriate port arrival time. Now, it's totally up to you, but I personally prefer to arrive around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, so by the time I get on the ship, it could actually be time to go straight to the cabins if they're ready. I also do not typically check any luggage, so it is nice to go right to the room and unpack and settle in. The cabins on Disney Cruise aren't typically ready until about 1:30 or 2, depending on your sailing. However, to the opposite effect, if you want an earlier arrival time, like 11 a.m., you'll be able to be one of the first on the ship, giving you extra pool time and lunch on board. Another important note, if you check a bag when you arrive at the port, it may not arrive to your cabin until after you've had your dinner on the first night. So be sure to pack important things like medications and dinner clothes in your carry-on bag, but also bathing suits so that you can start enjoying the pool and slides during the day. Tip number 18. Disney Cruise Line really knows how to celebrate the holidays with special themed sailings. There's Halloween on the high seas and Very Merry Christmas. I've been able to experience both of these holidays at sea, and they really go over the top with decorations, deck parties, characters. At Halloween they have trick-or-treating, and there's so much more. There's also events on select sailings like the Marvel Day at Sea and Pixar Day at Sea. And I'm also crossing my fingers that hopefully one day the Star Wars Day at Sea will make a return. Tip number 19 is the different cabins. Be sure to check out all of the different styles and prices for the cabins. There's interior rooms, veranda rooms, a porthole room, which is an ocean view stateroom. Some have bunks, some can sleep a family of 5. There's also suites and the concierge level. Some of my favorites are the interior rooms with a virtual porthole where you can see a live feed of the outside of the ship. But every once in a while, a fun Disney character will pop in. There's also the deluxe family cabin category, which features separate bathrooms, which is another huge perk for families. Tip number 20 is one that a lot of people don't think of, and that is to book your cruise as far out as you can and then pay it off a little bit at a time. I recommend each month until you reach the paid in full deadline, and then your vacation is all paid for by the time you step on board. Tip number 21 is something fun about cruising, but can really be unique on Disney, and that's door decorations. You can really have fun decorating your door and sharing with everyone that you're celebrating something, or you can just show off who your favorite characters are. Tip number 22. There are lots of things to do during your Disney cruise. There's drawing and animation classes, towel folding classes, and on some of the ships you'll find the Midship Detective Agency, where you can help either Mickey Mouse or the Muppets solve a mystery and do a scavenger hunt around the ship. There's an augmented reality game on the Wish where you can help Minnie collect different pieces of a wishing star. On the Dream and the Fantasy, there's fun enchanted art that you can interact with as you just stroll around the ship. There's basketball courts, ping pong, mini golf, and so much more. And great news, all of these fun activities are no extra cost. Tip number 23. For your first Disney cruise, it's all about the buffet restaurant. Each ship has a buffet. It's usually on the same deck as the pool. On the Magic and the Wonder, the Dream and the Fantasy, it's called Cabanas. And on the Wish, the buffet is called Marceline Market. This location is open for breakfast and lunch, and it might be open for dinner, but really only on select sailings. There's also food out near the pool, like pizza, chicken nuggets and french fries. There's salad, chicken, and there's usually a grill where you can get barbecue or burgers, sandwiches, or even veggie burgers also, and with gluten-free buns. There's also tacos and burritos depending on the ship that you're on. There's lots of varieties and options for everyone. Be sure to check out more of my episode about the food and the menus right here on my channel. Tip number 24. Disney characters can definitely be found all around the ship, during the day and in the evenings too. This is another good reason to download the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. There's also a princess gathering that you can get a ticket for. It is free, but you do have to book it in advance. Tip number 25, the final tip. Many things are included in the cruise fare, but there are some things that are not. There's the spa, there's a hair and nail salon, also any of the alcoholic drinks or specialty non-alcoholic drinks. There's gratuities, which will be added onto your room board account. And if you order any soda in any of the pubs or lounges, that's not included in the cruise fare. If you happen to have a baby that isn't old enough to go into the youth club, the nursery also is an extra charge. There's other things like the adult specialty dining and of course some shopping. However, most of the things that you'll come across on board your Disney cruise are included in the price, which in my opinion makes cruising a very good deal when it comes to a family vacation. And last but not least, here's a bonus tip for you, and that is to have fun. Remember to just go with the flow and try not to overplan your day. Be open to any spontaneous moments that might happen, and like I've said, just have fun. Well, that wraps up my 25 tips for your first Disney cruise. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for gluten-free travel tips and more information about cruises, Disney, and more. See you next time.